So I just finished my first official tournament with my Barebow, outdoors, that is, because I've already shot one indoors. I just shot my first 720 round outdoors, as well as a little bit of elimination rounds. And I have some discoveries to share with you, and some things I'm really looking forward to working on. So this past weekend, a couple days ago, my wife and I shot an event called Spider Cup. It is based locally. It's at the Easton Archery Sports Development Complex that's in Newberry, Florida, which is just down the road from my house. And basically they have a few different tournaments throughout the year. Basically, it's a shoot that basically exposes people to archery and different types, different types throughout the year. So it's actually really nice. And it's a good shakedown style event to get you ready for other larger events as well, because it's really laid back. Nobody really cares. We're just having a good time and hanging out. So if you're in the local area, definitely check those out. They're, again, called Spider Cups, and there's a bunch of different ones. There's another 720 round coming up, and it also has team round eliminations, so people can have some experience shooting team rounds. Anyway. So I shot okay. In the beginning, I shot decent, and then towards the end, started not shooting as decent. The weather changed slightly, a little bit windier, a little bit gustier, and it was not really a challenge as far as the wind was concerned. But there's a lot of things that I had to learn. Specifically, I saw that my crawl was changing a little bit throughout the day, especially when the wind went from head to tailwind. And, getting used to how much you need to adjust those type of things really just comes with experience and time behind the bow. And so I was struggling a little bit there and eventually figured it out. And it took me a little longer than I would hope, but that's all right. The main issue that I had was with my grip sear. It was causing me some problems. And I'm definitely going to have to modify my grip sear to be a little bit more comfortable and be better for me. I did a modification right before the event, the night before, actually. Probably wasn't the smartest idea in the world to make an adjustment to the actual shape of the grip, and it kind of totally just threw me off. I thought it was going to be better and easier to click off the side of it, but I really, really ended up struggling with it, unfortunately. So I did end up shooting a 615 out of 720. I shot a 313 the first half and a 302 the second half, somewhere in there, I think. And, just, again, not as easy as it should have been, or as easy as I would have hoped it to be. So quickly, I will review what my grip sear is and why I am using a grip sear, and then I'm going to show you some ways that I'm looking at modifying it, hopefully, and trying to come up with a system or a way to use this that is more comfortable for me and for my exact setup and situation. So a grip sear. What is a grip sear and why am I using it? So the grip sear is basically something that I'm using with my fingernail against the edge of the grip here, the wood grip on the handle, and I hook my fingernail on it when I am at full draw, like so, and then I pull against the grip until it clicks, and then I shoot. It's kind of like a modified clicker. It's a psycho trigger, essentially, and it is 100% legal to shoot World Archery Barebow in any Barebow division in any class to do that, because it is not a specific piece of equipment or something like that. It is only an action. And they, from what I understand and what they have ruled on and what they've discussed with some people, is they cannot ban an action, but they could ban a device. So you couldn't put like a Mylar washer on the front and have it click off the front, or modify your grip specifically for that with like an added piece of metal or piece of plastic or something like that. That would give you that clicking sound. And why I'm using it is because I definitely have really, really bad target panic and can't hold in the middle. I can if I have no intention of shooting, but as soon as I say, okay, I'm going to shoot this arrow, I freeze low, freeze high, left, right, whatever way I'm coming into the center of the target, I'll freeze, and then I'll just drive by, shoot it. And that's never, ever good. So there are a few things that I am working on to try to make my grip sear better. Like I said, I went from a sharp edge like there is on this side, and then it was working okay, but I noticed that my amount of pressure that I had to push into it, the amount of speed and intensity I had to push into that edge, would affect when it clicked. So in any of my previous videos that I've been shooting, specifically shooting for score with Barebow, you'll see my timing varies quite a lot between shots. Some are very fast, some are very slow. And the reason was I was having issues with consistency of popping off the side of this grip here. So, after talking to Matt at The Push, he basically modified his grip edge to have a radius on the side of it. So instead of a sharp edge, it's got a sloping radius on the front edge. And he said it was a bit more consistent for him, so I said, all right, I'll try it. And I had up to 3000 grit sandpaper, kind of polished the edge of it, and made it as nice as I could, and it felt really good like this. Feels really good in the hand. I could pull it back, feels okay, but then when you're actually aiming and trying to be steady and consistent, it wasn't just working for me at all. To the point of where I had my nail filed down to basically 0, and I was pulling so hard against that grip edge that I could feel the nail flexing. And when you start feeling your fingernail flex against something, when you're trying to get it to click off the edge to tell you when to shoot, it screws with your head a lot. You anticipate it, and it just ends up being a disaster. At least that's what happened for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually modify the edge of this grip slightly. I'm going to shave this down thinner, so it's just like a plastic grip. I'll show you some close-ups here. But this plastic grip up in the front, kind of where my fingernail sits, you'll see that this width here is actually really, really thin, and that feels a lot more consistent on how I can pop off of it as opposed to a very thick area of the grip itself. So my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow down the thickness in this front part of the grip on this wood one here to very minimal amounts, and kind of replicate this. So it will still appear OEM. It will still be, basically unmodified, because I could shoot this grip if I wanted, but I've got a wooden grip on this riser here on my ATFX that I've been shooting, and I don't want to have to put this on and start over from square one. I'd rather just modify what I've got that I like and make it better. And, eventually I can just varnish it, I can paint it, I can do whatever, and then nobody will ever really notice that it's been modified, and it'll look stock, and basically, you can argue it's a stock grip, so it's not been modified, and that'll be just fine. Now, you can say, oh, that's kind of not really legal, but, stuff happens. People play with the rules, people push the edges and the boundaries, and that's what rules are there for, is to, definitely stay within. And, I'm not going to put a big chunk of putty on there with a plastic tip off of it that is really thin and flexible and can pop off easily, because that's clearly a modification. But I'm trying to make what I've got better and work for me better. And then when I'm done with it, I'll probably send my grip over to Arcor, have them duplicate it in a 3D printed version, and then it will be truly unmodified and stock, and I'll be good to go. If you're going to do the same thing, or if you're interested in doing the same thing, I do have affiliate links through Arcor, and I will put links in the description below. It gets you a discount at their store. So yeah, I'm just going to take this grip off, and then I'm going to take you out there to my belt sander and remove a bit of material pretty quickly, and narrow it down a bit in the front and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, the idea of modifying this front edge and shrinking it down this way, kind of making the front edge be closer to the pad of my hand, probably be a lot more natural, considering the natural place, or the place that my hands rest without any tension in the grip. My middle fingernail is really far back in against the grip. It's actually way back here. So I don't know if I can shorten the front enough. Maybe I'll have to come up with something else, some other option or something that's going to work for me. Because really, to be frankly honest, this is the only way I can shoot barebow consistently, happily, and enjoyably. This is the only way I can do it. I have to have a psycho trigger. I've tried using triggers to do other types of cues to shoot, like counting. That doesn't work, because you could say 1, 2, 3, or I could say 1, 2, 3. It's just not going to work. It's something that I have too much control of. Same thing with breathing, you know, trying to like breathe all the way in or breathe all the way out, or at the peak or at the valley of a breath. You could always hurry up your breathing patterns to get the shot to break, and not good. Point of aim doesn't work either because I like to hold in the middle and let it go. But there is something that I did kind of notice. I am reviewing, if you haven't seen it yet, it is behind me here. I have a Mantis X8 there that I'm actually using to do a review. And I want to do a really good thorough review, so I haven't posted that yet. I'm still working on it. But I've shot it on my Barebow. As you can see, I have a mount up here. And I'm going to do it on my Olympic style recurve as well. Because what I found is if you use the clicker setting and turn the clicker setting on in that for use with a recurve, you can actually use a grip sear on a Barebow, and I can see the reaction of the bow after the clicker clicking, my finger clicking, not the clicker, before the release happens, and the bow constantly snaps a little bit to the left. And I notice if I let go of the string before the clicker clicks, before my grip sear drops, my arrows hit slightly right. So I am noticing a little bit of a torque influence like that every time the grip sear drops. So modifying this edge to click with less effort and less tension will definitely affect that dynamic movement in between the grip sear dropping and me releasing, which will then affect my accuracy and hopefully make it better. So there's a lot of benefits to this, and I'm going to work on this a lot. So I'm really excited to continue to try to figure this out because I do actually like Barebow a lot. And I mean, I actually kind of prefer it over recurve for sure. You know, it's really, really fun. It's freeing. There's not as much pressure. People are great, and it's a fun time. I actually genuinely like Barebow. You know, another thing that I did learn, and my wife and I both agreed on, is that we need to practice more. You know, I've probably been shooting on average of I've been shooting 1.5 days a week for the last several months, and it's just not enough. These new things are not going to set in and become permanent and second nature and subconscious unless I put in the time and the effort into getting better. And it is absolutely something I must focus on. You know, if I want to go and do tournaments again, I want to be more prepared. I want to feel more prepared, and I don't want to be winging it and changing things the day before without even having tried it. I genuinely haven't been shooting enough. I want to shoot more. I just haven't had time. But I will make more time to do this because there are some tournaments that are coming up locally that I would like to shoot, and I want to be prepared. I don't want to be frustrated like I was at this last Spider Cup because of target panic setting in due to the anticipation of the grip sear dropping due to the difficulty. So let's go modify this grip and make it way better. All right, so here we are, belt sander, grips. So you can see this leading edge here is so thin and narrow. Look how wide that one is. So I'm gonna make this hopefully look like this. And hopefully it won't break. It is wood, probably will fail. All right, so I have some 1,000 and 3,000 here. I'd had 600, and that's what I would like to be using right now, but I'm just gonna kind of polish this up with 1,000 on this edge, make it a little smoother and nicer, and then hit it with the 3,000. I mean, it's smoother than that side. So That's probably about as thin as I can get it with a wood grip. So I'm gonna start with that and see if that makes a difference. All right, so I'm gonna put this on. I think it looks pretty good. I'm actually quite happy with it. And I think it's gonna work better. Don't know if it's gonna be the end all be all. And I need to shoot it like this actually for probably a decent amount of time, for a decent amount of arrows, to realize if it's the right thing or if I need to potentially change it up some way, shape, or form. You know, like I said, I'm excited. I want to put some more time behind the bow anyway, and I'll find this out. But I think this is at least a good step. So let's see here. I'll point at you, and you can see what happens. It's a little harder than I would like it to be. Just a little bit. Barebow anchor would help maybe. I mean, I feel the bow kick less when I do it. Maybe that's the ticket. I'm gonna start with it there, and over time, as I do more barebow shooting videos, which of course I will in the future, I will share my progression with this grip sear, because I find that there's no other option. I don't have another option. I can't do feather to nose or something because I string walk, so that changes all the time where the arrow is. I'm not dexterous enough to do a tab sear. I will eventually report what my ultimate end position is. You know, this is definitely a modified grip, but it is very stock appearing. So, you know, the whole thing is, it's interesting. You know, it's like, should I be doing this? Does it fit the rules? Don't know. But I'm not going to be able to have fun and feel like I want to shoot barebow unless I do something like this. I really don't have a choice. And, you know, if we modify our grips for different shapes here, then there should be nothing wrong with doing it in the front if I were to be bold and say, you know, something. Because either you have to shoot a stock grip as a stock grip, or one grip that is all made out of one material, or whatever. You know, either way, that doesn't fit this rule. It doesn't work. You know, one grip, all the same material, then you'd have to go buy grips and you couldn't modify them and make them yourself like this, other than carving down the wood and using just the wood with no other putty. But this would be impossible to have, that little grip filler. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in checking out how I build grips, I'll put links in the description below, plus a card at the top up there for you to check out how I built this grip. I do also have a grip building video using the R-Core moldable plastic beads. That was actually pretty cool too. I'll have links in the description below for that as well, in case you're interested. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a feedback, you know, report basically on how the Spyder Cup went for me, and share my struggles, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there struggling just like I am. My number one struggle is probably caused by the lack of practice. So, go figure. I have to shoot more than one day a week. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell, as well as the like button. I would appreciate it. Also, please consider supporting my channel. If you head to my website, jakekaminski.com, there'll be info and links on Patreon, apparel, books, and equipment sales, PayPal donate button, a P.O. box to send things to, and above all else, please share this video, because there's no better advertising than word of mouth.